Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Pokarna Limited Q1 FY22 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Gavin Desa from CDR India. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Janice. Good day, everyone, and a warm welcome to Pokarna Limited's Q1 FY22 earnings conference call. We have with us today Mr. Gautam Chand Jain, the Chairman and Managing Director, and Mr. Paras Kumar Jain, Chief Executive Officer, Pokarna Engineered Stone Limited. I trust most of you have gone through the communication and the result presentation that has been sent to you earlier. In the interest of time, we'd like to commence with Q&As immediately. So I'd like to request the moderator to open the floor for question and answers. Janice, could you take it forward, please?
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Karthikeyan from Suyash Advisors. Please go ahead.
Sir, good morning and thanks for the opportunity. Can you talk about the value increase that is likely to result from the new facilities? You've talked about how the products will be of larger sizes and so on. So can we assume a higher realization versus in the past for the products that you would be selling from the new facility?
You have any more questions, or can I answer your question?
I have a second question which is related to the fixed costs in the new facility also, sir. Can you talk about what would those be on an annualized basis, just for reference, so that we have a sense of what incremental costs there will be? Thank you.
So, answering your first question on the capacity and the likely realization from the Unit 2. So typically, this answer is also for the other participants who are listening to this. So the capacity ramp up at the new unit was partially impacted by the lockdown restrictions on account of COVID-19, and also the revenues got impacted predominantly due to the shipping challenges which we currently are facing, like all other industries which are dependent on container shipping. So on a peak capacity utilization basis, when the product mix is right, like as we mentioned in the past also, that currently we are going with basic designs. Now we are slowly moving to the mid-range designs, and then going forward we'll also start taking up some higher realization designs. But that is still to happen because of the shipping reasons. We have to typically manage our capacity utilizations and also look at the working capital. So when all these factors are normalized, you can expect a revenue of 400 to 500 crores depending upon the product mix coming from this unit, and that is also when the capacity utilization comes to the peak level.
If you don't mind a supplementary question, would FY23 be a realistic assumption for full utilization of this facility, given the current demand visibility?
I think keeping the demand and the COVID uncertainty scenarios under constant assumption, I think FY23 or maybe mid of FY23, 24, early 24 can typically be the point where the peak numbers would come in.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And in terms of fixed costs, because it's a bit confusing, the other expenditure has run up sharply from say 33 crore to 44 crore on a sequential basis. So it is, and 5 crores out of that is being described as one of forex related cost. So if you had to normalize the incremental cost from the new facilities, that will give us a sense of the economics of this unit.
See, basically, if you look at the numbers on a typical basis, the capitalization happened in March 21, and was the first quarter when we actually depreciated the assets on a quarterly basis completely. So typically around 4.47 crores increment is due to the Unit 2 capitalization, which is coming in.
Right. Right.
Similarly, the finance expenses also have increased around 4.15 crores, and again it is attributable to the new quartz unit. And we mentioned in the other expense includes a foreign currency loss of 5.3, which is typically coming on account of the payment which we made to one of our largest suppliers for this new unit when we settled their LC payment. So this typically, I think more or less the items which are of non-recurring nature seems to have been taken care completely now. So we don't believe that large items like what you had in this quarter, that is a quarter under review, should occur in the other forthcoming quarters.
Right. Right. One last thing.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you continue.
And since you see that, majority of the sale, unlike when we ship out of our Unit 1, which is in Visakhapatnam, is the cycle of sale is typically longer in when you ship out of Hyderabad because the containers move out of Mumbai port, and the transit from Hyderabad to Mumbai is via rail, and also dependent upon the situation at the Mumbai port. Unlike Visakhapatnam, where the revenue realization happens relatively quicker because we are just about 50 kilometers away, and situation in Vizag is as of now not as worse as is in Mumbai. So that's also one of the reasons that while the materials are being shipped out also, the sales cycle, because the revenue recognition policy does not allow us to recognize the revenue until the required risk, reward and control requirements are met.
So the last thing, what would be the debt outstanding and what would be the peak repayment this year?
Yeah, I think about this year on a consolidated 260 crores, about 260 crores is our peak debt.
Okay. Including the new capex you are saying, just 260 crores?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is typically when we say debt, this typically we talk about bank financial institutions. We also have a little investment from the promoters already, but that is anyways pegged to the bank borrowing.
So all told, what would be for modeling purposes?
Around 360 crores.
Around 360 crores. And what would you repay this year?
12 crores.
Only 12. This year. For 22.
The whole financial year. Yeah, whole financial year. Because the debt for the old plant has already been repaid. So now old plant more or less is debt free already.
Okay.
This now debt relates to the new plant where we have a payment schedule of 8 years still left over.
Sir, thank you very much and very best wishes, sir. I hope you report incrementally much better numbers. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dikshit Doshi from Whitestone Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, my first question is regarding, in the annual report, it was mentioned that CVD and AD rates by US DOC is subject to adjustment and the first review will happen in July. So how can this impact us, or what is the current status, if you can elaborate on that?
Yeah. So thank you for going through the annual report. And coming to your question on the CVD and AD review, as per the US Department of Commerce set regulations, CVD and AD are subject to annual reviews, and the annual review process is typically run by the department, and they typically take an anniversary period. So already the CVD related and AD related initiation has started, and the department has just released the initiation notice and also has released certain other relevant data. And it's about 90 days during which you get a clarity on as to whether the proceedings are going forward or not going forward, because Cambria has not requested for the CVD review this time. They have only requested for the AD review. And we had requested for the CVD review, like others, many others also did the same. And since Cambria has not requested for the CVD review, our councils have withdrawn our CVD review as well. So it appears that we would not be part of the CVD proceedings currently. So it means that the status quo position continues as on date today for the CVD. Now coming to the AD, the initiation notice has just been published and the process is still not out. So it will take another month or so to get full clarity. But we are fully prepared to answer all the questions which DOC has.
Okay. Second question was, regarding the peak that you mentioned around 360 crore. So does this include the working capital loan as well?
No, this is purely the term loan and the promoter loan.
Okay, so and this term loan 360 crore also include the conversion of LC which was
Yes.
going to happen.
Exactly.
Okay. And just one question. I know it is too early to ask, but let's say whenever in 2 years, 2.5 years, we reach the peak capacity utilization, do we have the extra land at current facility to do the next round of capex?
Yeah, so basically when we plan any infrastructure, we always keep our future plans in mind. So we have enough of civil infrastructure and also related land in place should we decide to expand it.
Okay. And and how is the demand scenario? If you can just elaborate on that, because one of your competitor who have also put up the Brightstone technology. So there were two new plants have come, and one of the company have took over the other company. So can we assume that demand scenario is very strong from US, and once this container issue is sorted out, we can ramp up very fast?
So in terms of the demand scenario, definitely like with any other building material today, the countertop industry in the US continues to be strong, and there are supply chain disruptions, but otherwise the consumer sentiment is relatively strong. So demand doesn't seem to be a concern at the moment.
Okay, and one last question from my side. This quarter, the performance of the granite segment is also decent. So can we expect the similar performance even going forward to continue?
Yeah, more or less it should be same. Again, subject to situation improving at the ports, because most of the turnover in granite comes from block sales to China. But the situation of shipping is still very bad, even for the bulk cargo exports. And the rates to China have more than not only tripled, but non-availability of shipping is again another issue. But subject to things improving at the logistics, we hope to get the better turnover this year.
Okay, thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Utkarsh Somani from Moneybee. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. So my question is pertaining to the new product launches in the zinc segment. Sir, I wanted to know whether we are going to export these or this is for the domestic market. And can you also throw some light on the margin profile of these products?
See, basically we are one of the first companies to bring up this product into the category. So right now we are doing typically pilot testings and all in local markets. But as we are a SEZ and a UAE unit, our focus is definitely exports. But currently, before going for the exports market, we are doing a lot of pilot runs in India with our dealers and others. So as the market catches up and the test results and the pilot results are encouraging, we'll take the product to the other markets. Already in terms of marketing and advertising, we're already talking about this product in the US market as well. And in terms of sampling and all that activity has also started. So that's the first part of the question. Second part of the question, again, the margin profile more or less will be similar to what we have.
Okay, sir. And what is the capacity in this segment, and whether this is over and above the existing capacity, or it is fungible?
See, basically, this is a number which I will not be able to share for competitive reasons. but we have enough capacity to meet the demand.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. That was helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sonal Kohli from Bowhead Financial. Please go ahead.
So thank you for this opportunity. I have a few questions. Firstly, in the past, when the currency run rate was lower than today, and perhaps the raw material inflation would have been also less, you were doing almost like a 9,500 crore revenue run rate from your old plant at the peak. In light of the new, current currency rate and inflation raw materials, what is this capacity capable of generating on a quarterly run rate basis in a normal quarter? This is my first question. The second question is, we have made a EBITDA margin of 29-30% in quarters, adjusting for forex. When your new plant is fully operational and at full capacity, and maybe the shipping rates are normalized, is 40% EBITDA margin a possibility for us? I'm not talking about now. I'm talking just in terms of possibilities. 4, 6, 8 quarters down the line. And then I have few very more questions, but I'll ask them after this.
Okay. So coming to the revenue generation capacity, typically it's predominantly dependent on the product mix, and also within the product mix, also whether the thicknesses, and also whether we are doing cut to size more or we are doing slab more. So given that the hospitality segment globally has still not recovered, so getting the peak run rates what you saw in the past still looks to be a little tight. If the shipping situation is normalized in terms of getting the containers available on time at the right price so that the customer is able to ship the containers, the unit 1 typically has a ability to produce anything between 75 to 85 crores on a quarterly basis. And anything upward that would typically warrant that we get the hospitality demand back into the channel, which, as you know, that since the tourism industry is still not picked up completely, a lot of renovation plans, a lot of commercial establishment plans are on the hold. So that is one part of your question. What was the other question? Sorry.
The new plant also will typically give the same value.
So when the new plant reaches the peak level and has the right product mix, the numbers would be resonating the levels of unit 1.
Sir, in the previous calls 2-3 years back, you had mentioned that your new capacity is 130% of existing capacities. So what am I missing here? Would the revenue be 130% of the existing, or would it be similar to the existing?
Basically, the numbers in terms of the nameplate capacities are higher, but then reaching on those numbers and getting the right product mix is first priority. So when you are saying about 6 quarters, I don't see that we get that right product mix immediately in 6 quarters right now. So it will take typically at least 6 quarters to get the right product. Post that, you can probably look at coming to numbers what you are asking.
Oh, I see. Sir, second question was that, if we adjust for your forex losses, and take it as a one-off, you reported a 29% EBITDA margin in your quartz business. Once you are fully operational, whether it's 6 quarters away or 8 quarters away, whenever you get what you aim for when you set up this capacity, is it a reasonable assumption to assume a 40% EBITDA margin, with the use of robotics and, assuming obviously the demand remains where it is, or, what would you say, would be a reasonable case for it?
Typically, one of the important factors of EBITDA getting little contracted is definitely the polyester resin prices. The polyester resin prices are at the peak I have seen, at least in my career. So, and the chemical prices, as you see, every other chemical is just about anything between 50 to 100 or 200% up from its normal level. So unless the resin prices come back to relatively normal level, getting to the era margins what you had seen, I think there are the days when you typically even saw 40-45% EBITDA margin. So I think our short-term target is to reach 35%. That's where we are focusing. And once the resin prices comes to normal level, probably there can be some increment from there.
Okay. But there would be some benefit of operating leverage, right? Or
It
you,
should be there,
I mean,
but then you also have to see how much of that can be offset by the other factors which are not in our real control.
okay. Sir, further, what will be your recurring depreciation run rate? What this quarter, reflect, the normal depreciation Q1, or, because the plant was not fully utilized, this was not the normal depreciation rate. Secondly, whenever you reach your full capacity and you take your working capital, what kind of interest cost would one assume, few quarters down the line when you take in your working capital debt?
So basically, the Q1 numbers are completely reflective of what you will see quarter on quarter, because Q1 was completely, the plant was capitalized in March 21. So what you see in terms of depreciation, about 4.5 is typically because of the new unit, and another 4.15 of finance cost is because of the new unit. So I think you will see the similar numbers, incremental number coming there.
So, sir, is the plant running on 24-hour shifts, because depreciation is also a function of the number of shifts you may be running?
Yes. So what you see is exactly reflecting what you're asking.
This is great. My last question, sir, in terms of including the working capital debt and promoter debt and all forms of debt, when you run your peak capacity, what is the peak debt you have in mind? Would it be materially different than current, or the cash flows would take care of working capital requirements, incremental working capital requirements?
Typically, the promoter debt is around 100 crores, and the debt from the bank for the term loan is about 260. So about 360 is typically the term loan what we are seeing. And working capital at the peak would be around 120.
Okay. And when would you, and safe to assume, I mean, if you do what you are saying, you generate very significant free cash flows. What will you do with that? Would you do that to pay a working capital debt, or would you, have some other plans in mind?
I think all those are typically a function of when we will see that, because today I think the biggest challenge is to get over the shipping issues. So unless the shipping issues are addressed, all the other plans typically cannot take any shape. So I think our first focus is now to make sure that what we produce is what we are able to sell and ship out to the customers. And future plans, if there are any, definitely will back and give an announcement about it.
And so shipping prices are totally passed through, or no? You also have to bear a brunt currently because of high shipping cost?
It depends. There are some contracts where we are obligated, and in some contracts it's a pass-through.
Great. Thank you so much for answering.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishikesh Bhagat from Kotak AMC. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Just dwelling into this margin side on the I think there's some one-off related to, I think, forex related. Is that largely pertaining to your quartz segment only? 7.5 crore, if I'm not wrong, forex related.
Actually, you are not clear. Can you please come back?
The forex related issue, loss of 7.5 crore, if I'm not wrong. Is it largely pertaining to your quartz segment only?
No, that's what you see is both granite and quartz. So typically what you see there is a consolidated number, out of which a large number came from the unit 2 of quartz.
Okay. So if I just look at it broadly, then the margins adjusted for this should be upwards of 25%, probably 27 to 30%, between in that range, adjusted for this forex loss. That is my understanding, right?
Yeah. If you adjust that item of foreign currency loss, what you see from unit 2, then typically there is an incremental addition of the number what you're talking.
Okay. That will be from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush from Niveshaay. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. So my question is that the manufacturing plant which you have come up, how you are planning to utilize it, if you can throw some light on it. For example, that what is the planning for production of the new product BioQuartz and Krios?
Basically, the first unit is in Special Economic Zone in Visakhapatnam, and the second unit is the export-oriented unit. So our focus definitely, the first focus is definitely to export as much as we can. And as you would be following us on the social media, you will see that we are doing a lot more and more within India as well. by bringing in our 360-degree model where we do complete measurement up to installation facility also, apart from being an exclusive partner for the quartz workshop with IKEA in India. So the focus definitely is exports, but then we will also cater to the domestic demand as we are able to establish the category and then create a niche for the product. And product creation from the unit 2, as I mentioned into the previous questions as well, it takes time because currently there is a lot of training which has to be imparted to the all our team members, and then we gradually move to the other levels of the product before we start really working on the more intricate. At least 4 to 6 quarters away in coming to the peak levels with the right product mix.
Okay. So, and my second question is that how you are planning to leverage your relationship with IKEA in USA?
We always work on leveraging our every relationship. I don't want to be specific to any particular relationship, but given an opportunity, we'll keep exploring wherever the avenues are available.
Okay. So that's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anand Jain, individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. My first question is, what kind of capacity utilization right now we are running at in our quartz plants in Visakhapatnam and in Hyderabad?
We are running almost at the peak level in Visakhapatnam. In Hyderabad, because of shipping related challenges, so we had to pare down our capacity. So it will take at least another couple of more quarters before we come to a 60% plus number.
Okay, so it is majorly impacted by shipping, but I thought Hyderabad, must be easier because you can ship by a JNPT, and is that not happening, sir?
Basically, today I don't think any particular location can be the easy way of shipping unless you are actually at that location. So whether it is Visakhapatnam to Mundra to Chennai or any other port on east also, the situation is same. It's a complete chaos in the shipping line business as of now.
Okay. So the other question is, if you can speak something on how are you looking at the India growth and the prospects in India, because ours is like one of the best brands in quartz, and I mean even a lot of developers who I have spoken to are aware of Pokarna and are really interested in what we do, or what we make. So can you just speak something on how we are looking at the India growth plan?
See, basically, Pokarna as a brand is about 3 decades old in the building industry. So builders know us from our granite business, and now they also know that about for a decade now we bring also quartz surfaces, and millions of square foot of our project is already installed in various projects in India, especially with the prestigious different ventures in south of India. And now with the 360-degree model, we are trying to bring experience which the consumer has in the developed nations like Europe and US, where we typically go to the home of the consumer and just twice. And the first time it is 1 hour, and the next time it is around 4 to 5 hours. So typically in 6 hours, you have all your kitchen countertops installed completely and without any mess at the site. And because we bring the completely finished product, packed in a world-class way, is delivered to the consumer in a right way, and then we don't create any mess. And of course, overall we also provide a 10-year warranty, and we use non-VOC glues and all that. So, but then all this has a cost, and we do compete in the local market with the manufacturers who have deployed Chinese machineries and have a different product profile. So that's a place where we compete with them. But the people who understand the difference between a good and the best product typically look for always the best, and they come to us. So we don't want to commoditize our product in this market, because we believe that there is a lot of value proposition which we bring onto the table. So India is a growing market, and it will definitely take some time before it becomes a major part of our revenues.
So my question is this, that we have a lot of these shipping issues and container issues. can we divert, and Hyderabad not being an SEZ location, how much of our Hyderabad capacities can we divert to the local market?
Typically, if the local market is able to take the entire capacity, we can divert it, but that's more hypothetical in nature.
Purely from a demand side, I'm trying to understand. Demand side for a product, how much of
I don't see that a demand for about close to 10 million square foot is available locally, is what my understanding is.
Okay, and how much are we supplying locally, if you have any numbers on that?
I think I would refrain from giving those specific numbers. Thank you.
But are we seeing an uptick on the domestic market from our company? Is that like what?
Yeah, that's what is our insight.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Riken Gopani from Capri Global. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Sir, I just wanted to understand, in the U.S. market currently, what kind of competitive scenario are you seeing in the quartz business, and who are the key competitors? And in terms of realization, what are the key trends that we are seeing in the U.S. market? If you could elaborate on that.
Typically, we compete with the large players in the industry, and our customers typically are big boys of the industry, and we also distribute through certain specific channels our own Quantra brand as well. So be it the Caesarstone, Silestones of the world, to LG and the others, we compete with them in the US market. And in terms of competitive trend and realization, it all depends upon which market you are concentrating, because there are some pockets where typically the focus of a particular product design is higher, and there we, because of our specialization in the manufacturing process, we are able to get a little more realization. And then there are certain products where the product profiling does not completely differentiate you from others, and there the realizations are on par with the competitor.
Right.
So it depends upon which pocket you are and what type of product you are presenting. But we typically try to refrain from the basic range of the products, because that is something where there is too much of competition, and there is little value which we can add to that type of a product.
Right. So, but in the current scenario, are you, given the kind of demand environment for building materials we are seeing in US, has that helped in terms of the competitive intensity being moderate or pricing being more firm? Any specific trend, or it's sort of business as usual? I mean, if you could share some trends there.
I think because of the shipping situation, while the demand is there, it's not completely translating into the numbers for many of us.
Right.
Because consumer continues to ask the material, but the material is typically not available because they're not able to ship more material. So it's not completely translating into the gains for anyone in the channel.
Understood. And second, sir, with the new capacity coming on stream, are we also making any changes to our distribution framework in the US, or what kind of network do we have, and what kind of scale up do we expect to make over there, or is it going to be the current network itself?
So as I mentioned, that we have a both OEM model where we work with the big boys of the industry and do the white label manufacturing for them, and we also focus on building our own network of Quantra. So I think in line with that philosophy, we'll continue to have a balanced network of OEM and brands. It will not be a significant change than what you currently see.
Understood. Great, sir. Thank you so much for the answers.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sachin Kasera from Swan Investment. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. I had 2-3 questions mainly for the domestic market. Sir, is it that we have exclusive tie-up with IKEA, in the sense we can only sell through IKEA, or they are just one of the relationships that we have as far as the domestic market is concerned?
Yeah. So you want to ask other 2 questions, or should you want me to answer this one first?
No, first if you can answer this one.
So IKEA is one of our relationships. The exclusive tie-up is for the quad surface, which they have to buy from us. So there is no obligation for us to not supply to the others. The 360-degree model, what we have brought into India, we are servicing beyond IKEA as well. So we are doing a lot of if you go to our new website, quanta.in, you can look at where to buy, and you'll see that you can buy in several places today in India. Very sure having many more in Mumbai as well. So you can see that you can buy a product in Cochin, Hyderabad, Ludhiana, Mumbai, Goa, Ahmedabad, Kanpur. So like this, we are building up a network today of kitchen studios where the product is available for experience. So you can typically walk in, see the product, feel the product, and then buy that through the channel. So we are doing both the sale through channel and also where we are not directly present or through channels, we typically would sell out of Hyderabad. But today, like even if you are in Kanyakumari or Srinagar, you can order a Quanta Top, and the 16th day you'll have the Quanta Top installed at your place.
Sure, that's great news. Secondly, in terms of pricing and realizations, is the Indian market now competitive with the export realizations, or India being a little low-cost economy, you have to price it at a lower price?
So it depends upon the product also, again, Sachin, in this case. But again, since we are doing a lot of investment in creating the marketing channel, so realization may not appear to be same if you really factor in those all marketing and promotions, because we are doing a lot of display at the stores where you can see a large piece of stone. It's not just a small piece of stone. We are investing in bringing the experience at the center, so that requires a little of marketing expenses as well. So if you compare for those, you'll see that the realizations will typically be a little lower than what you see in the domestic market, where the efforts to sell is relatively lower.
Sure. And from a 4 to 5 year perspective, once the market matures and stabilizes, do you think that domestic market can be a significant part of the revenue as far as the quart business is concerned?
Yeah, so that's what our strategy is also, that to develop a good portion of our revenues to come from the domestic market. But of course, domestic market will never be of the size of the export market.
Sure. And just lastly...
But I can't crystal gaze today what will happen at 5 years. This is what I understand from the current trend.
But you are seeing that the Indian market is maturing, and you see can be a good traction in the overall quartz market in India in the next 4 5 years, the way the market is developed.
We see a good indicators of traction, and that's the reason we are looking at creating that niche product segment and the category.
Sure. And just lastly, in terms of the 4 5 years from now, the mix between institution versus your own brand or retail, is it that the focus is more going to be retail, or is it going to be like a balanced mix? What is our internal strategy from a 4 to 5 year perspective?
See, typically, I think the mix would continue to be what you see today.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sonal Kohli from Bowhead Financial. Please go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity. Sir, I wanted to understand, do we have any data on the size of the quartz market in India? Would you be the biggest player in that, or would it be some trader importing from outside or some other Indian player? And do we have any data on the growth rates of the market, or, any potential study with certain how big the market could be 5 years down the line?
We have not commissioned any research on this typical segment as yet, and so I am not privy to any research report which says that the market size is this much of it. So we typically see the building material as a category where we can focus, and that's a huge category. So I don't have an absolute number with me at the moment, and I don't see there are any authentic research reports available. There could be many others who publish it on that. I think marketresearch.com and all those guys, they give some indicators, but I don't believe those indicators are completely rational. So I don't think I'll be able to give you an accurate answer on your question.
So since you were short on capacity for last few years for most of the period, and obviously exports were the priority and a larger margin business for you, is it safe assumption to say that you may not be the largest player in India, and as of now, and there could be a few players bigger than you? Because of lack of capacity, even if your product and reach may be better than that?
As I mentioned in my previous calls as well, export has been our focus. So there could be some players whose focus only is the Indian market, and I'm sure there are some players who are focusing predominantly or at least largely on the Indian market. So there could be some potential players who've got higher concentration of revenues coming from the Indian market.
Lastly, when you see 3 years down the line, whenever you're fully running, how do you see a breakup of your revenue between Europe, US, and India? Would Europe, you know, have a significant increase in share, or how are you looking at your business model from a 3-year perspective?
Typically, we believe that US will always be the largest share of our revenue, and Europe may not necessarily have a largest chunk. So US is where I would rather say North America would continue to be the largest player in our entire sales portfolio.
So one more question, considering, if ships are fully available, why would it take you 6 quarters to run full capacity, at least for the normalized products? Let's say, by December quarter or by March quarter, if the ships are fully available, considering the pent-up demand, etc., wouldn't it be possible for you to reach at least, for the normalized product, not the high-end, customized products, reach your full capacity utilization in that time frame itself, subject to obviously availability of ships?
I wish I could do what you say, but it takes a lot of time to train people and have a right product mix developed, because it is not just like a printing tile what you see in the ceramic industry, that you just put a design and every tile comes out like a print. It's a manufacturing process. It takes a lot of research and development, and it's a full body product, and we stand behind what we sell. So we just don't sell whatever we produce. So it has to meet our quality expectations. It has to be certified by various international bodies. So it takes time. I'd be more than happy to get you the numbers what you're asking, but then it's not how it works. Typically 15 to 18 months is the period by which the stabilization and the right product mix comes in.
Lastly, sir, is there any scope for you to add capacities, and if such a situation arises, 4-6 quarters down the line, and how quickly could that be done? At least, a 10-20% increase in capacity. Is there any scope of that?
I just mentioned, I think partially about this in some of the previous questions. We have infrastructure in place in terms of civil infrastructure and the land availability to expand should the opportunity be there. Now, whether it will take, whether I can add 20% in short time, whether I can add 40%, it depends upon what type of expansion we are doing. But I think whatever way you want to do, it's not possible to turn around in 3 or 6 months. This is typically a little longer gestation projects. Typically takes anything between about a year to 15 months to get a right infrastructure installed and commissioned.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dixit Doshi from Whitestone Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity again. Sir, first question was, since this new plant have a different product than the unit one, we'll be selling to the same customers the new product as well, or it's all together a different customer we have to target?
I think Dixit answered this question. So let me first clear that misconception. The product is not different. The design can be different from what we have. So it's all quad surface product, but the level of detailing and all that can be a little different based on the robotics output. So it's not that the product is different.
Okay. Sir, and one last question from my side. So, how do you see, in the earlier years, 2-3 years back, we were planning to sell the textile division, but then we didn't get any buyer. So, why we are not closing it down rather than selling?
We don't want to do a distress sell, of course, because we have good quality of machines, and we'll see if we can tie up or use them rather than doing a distress sell. So we are waiting for a right customer, or maybe revival if it's possible.
And you would be saying that, typically the amount of cash burn in that is come down dramatically. So I think we have good fixed assets there to monetize in a right way.
Okay, sir. Okay. That's it from my side. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference back to the management for their closing comments.
Thank you, and I hope you guys are keeping safe in these times, and look forward to catching up with you guys again in the next quarter. Stay safe.
Thank you. On behalf of Pokarna Limited, we conclude today's conference. Thank you for joining. You may now disconnect your lines.